Assalamu alaikum. How are you today? I hope you're having a good day, inshallah. Today I want to talk about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who one time found a woman who was carrying a heavy load. And so he was a helpful man. He saw this and he said, I'll help you. Wherever you're going, I'll help you with this. So she gave the load to him and they started walking. Now, at this point, she said, You know, I don't have anything to give you, meaning I don't have any wages, I don't have any money to give you. So, but I want to advise you, I want to give you some good advice. And she, while they're walking, he's carrying this heavy load, and she said, In this town, there is a man, and his words are really magical. He seems to be able to come up with the best words. And because of that, people in the same house can start have a disagreement, right? They kind of, one person likes what Muhammad, peace be upon him, is saying, the other one doesn't. So they start to not like each other because of that reason. And so this is not a good guy, right? Now she doesn't know that the person who's helping her is Muhammad, peace be upon him. So they keep walking, and she keeps describing many things that she dislikes about him. And he's listening quietly, he's not saying anything at all. And then she says, since he came, there's been so many division in our town. So many people have had so many fights with each other. Not physical fights, but just arguments. And I don't know that he's a man that I want you to know at all. I want you to stay clear of him. And so this took, they're walking. Now, what would you have done at this point? Let's say somebody came and started saying some mean things about you, right? They don't know that you are the one they're talking about, but they started saying some really nasty things about you. How would you behave at that point? What would you do? Would you say, you know what? I don't like you either. I think you are also mean, etc. What would you do? I would guess that most of us would get upset at the least if somebody said bad things about us, right? But not Muhammad, peace be upon him, right? Because he's a man who has been called by Allah mercy, right? He doesn't say bad things to anybody. Even the people who say bad things about him, he doesn't return the same thing back. This is not him, right? So I think that's a beautiful quality. I don't think that's common at all. For somebody to be able to withhold themselves, to kind of stop themselves saying something bad in return to somebody who's using bad language about you. And particularly things that are not even true. Because Muhammad, peace be upon him, was not a mean guy at all. He was actually one of the nicest, kindest people in Mecca, right? The town where he lived. He was known as the truthful, the honest. He was known as the trustworthy. So he had this reputation for a reason, right? They didn't just start calling him these things because he was a mean person and he was a nasty person and he used to be a person who returned back bad words with bad words. That's not him. So anyway, they get to where they're going, and finally this woman says to him, What is your name? You never told me your name. So he said at this point, I am Muhammad. I am the person you were just describing. Can you imagine the shock this woman must have had at that point in time? That she's been saying all this about him and he's been quietly listening. He didn't once say, All of what you're saying is wrong. I'm a good guy. I think somebody has told you something wrong. I think you're mistaken. I think you should not really be saying these things about me. Or maybe he would have turned around and said, You know what? I don't like you either. You saying stuff about me, etc. But he didn't say any of that. I think that's so beautiful. I think it's so powerful for somebody to be able to hold themselves when nasty things are being said about him, and to the point where the other person feels bad about it, right? Because what happened now? Once she realized, oh, it was him all along. So this doesn't look like the kind of person that because she hadn't known any of this stuff personally, right? She had just heard all this stuff from other people. Maybe people didn't like Muhammad, peace be upon him. Maybe people who kind of felt bad about how he was getting to convey the message of Islam, because he was never asking for anything for himself. He was only saying, there is only one God and I am his messenger, right? I am here to help you live a good life. I'm here to help you become better people. I'm here so that you have a happy life, right? So he wasn't asking to say, give me some money or I need something. He wasn't doing anything like that. And so this to me is just such a beautiful example of how he has been for all of us, right? He's called mercy for all the worlds for a reason. And so this woman, of course, she was so embarrassed and so uh, uncomfortable. And of course, she completely retracted all of what she was thinking. She kind of took it back, and maybe in her heart, he didn't say anything openly. But I think that's just an example of how the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was. His behavior changed people, right? It wasn't what he said always, it's how he behaved, it's how he acted, it's how he didn't take people on their face value and said, you know what, this is a nice person. They just don't know me. They have heard stuff about me from people that don't necessarily also know me. They've heard from other people, right? So rumor, and this is another problem that we have, that we sometimes start believing things that we don't really know for sure to be true, right? We sometimes hear, oh, somebody said like this about me, and the fact is they didn't. Or even if they did, it isn't quite what we have heard, right? So there's two or three lessons from this story which I want to say, inshallah, at the end. Number one is be nice to people, right? If somebody is not nice to you, don't be not nice to them in return. That's not how Islam promotes values, right? Islam doesn't tell us to be people like that, who are always looking to get back to somebody, who are just waiting for the other person to fall so that they can push them some more, or who are waiting for somebody to make a mistake and they can kind of say, I'm going to get this person now. That's not Islam, right? Islam is about promoting the best values, the best way of behaving, the best way of being with other people. Smiling, right? Smiling. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is known to be smiling so much. He smiles so much that many people used to say he had almost a smile on his face all the time. That's how he presented himself to people, right? He didn't take revenge, as you just heard in this story, right? He didn't say nasty words to people who were bad to him. He didn't say, I'm not going to do this thing for you. Here's your stuff. You can just take it yourself. None of that, right? What a beautiful way of portraying, of really showing people what Islam is. It's not about what's written in the book, right? Islam could be something beautiful in the book. Islam promotes friendship, Islam promotes love, Islam promotes respect of parents, Islam promotes all these nice things. And yet, as soon as something happens to me, I start behaving in a manner that people say, oh, so this is what Islam has made this person. And this is my friends, I want you all to remember at the end. Let us not allow Islam to be thought of badly because of the way we are behaving, right? Let's think of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him's example. How did he behave when somebody was like that to him? So that's lesson number one. I think the other lesson, have you thought of a lesson, by the way? Have you thought of something you've learned from this story? No? Yes? Okay. You can tell this to your mom and dad or to your friends, etc., what you learned. I'll tell you what else I learned from this. The other thing I learned from this is, when you have the opportunity, when you have a chance, right, to find out for yourself, what kind of person am I, right? That's not going to happen when everything is going good, right? It's not. It's not usually going to happen when, everything's okay. It's when something is not okay, right? When you've had a bad day at school, when you've maybe, somebody has said some mean things to you, somebody has maybe said something that you don't always like. It's not even true, right? That's the time that you really find out, what kind of person am I? Why do I get so angry so quickly? Why do I start to misbehave? Why do I start to say bad things, etc.? So let's inshallah promise ourselves today that we will act a little bit like the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, when a situation like this occurs to us. And let's, inshallah, give everybody the beautiful example of what Islam really is, which is to promote the best of behavior when other people are not so nice to us. Inshallah, I hope all of you are having a great Ramadan. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.